Hey everyone, today we have 3 builds that we're going to look at if you are on a specific budget when building a new PC. We did this a little over half a year ago and it went fairly well and I think people learned a lot. We're going to do the same thing again today with 3 builds priced at $600, $1,000, and $1,600. All of them will do a little bit different things for you. We'll go over the parts in depth, see what they all include and what you can expect from these machines if you decide to build one. So to start things off, we're going to go over our $600 build first. You will see a very similar theme throughout today's video for a couple components and just kind of what product line we're looking at. But it's going to be fine because there's some nice things about it. So first things first, let's go over the CPU. Actually, also as a preface, there will be links to everything down below, so you can check those out, click on them, links to the PC part picker page itself, and then to parts. I will try to do both for you guys, so you can just find everything, hopefully, just in one spot. So that is what I will say. Check it out if you want. There is the CPU, which is the first thing we're gonna talk about. That is the AMD Ryzen 5 1400. It's really good for the price, basically. The closest Intel competitor is not as powerful at all. In fact, the i3 is probably the closest thing to this, and that would be nowhere the same in comparison, in my opinion. So this is gonna be better. It's a quad-core processor. It's gonna work really well. It's about $160. That's a good price for a pretty good quad-core processor. So that's the first thing we're looking at. We're gonna put that on the ASRock AB350M motherboard, which is pretty standard. It's an ITX motherboard. You know, you don't have tons of features on it, but it's got enough features. You'll be fine with what you're getting for this motherboard. We do not have a CPU cooler on, or an aftermarket CPU cooler for that R5 1400. You'll just use the stock cooler. It will work perfectly fine, so don't have to worry about that. But the motherboard will run you about $70, nothing terrible. We're gonna go with some G.Skill Aegis 8 gig RAM. The memory should be great for this build. 8 gigs is going to be just about enough, honestly. You do have another DIMM slot open if you want to expand in the future. So if you want to pick up another stick in the future, you can do that and have 16 gigabytes. If you're not sure how much you need for gaming, there's a link up above you can click on right now. It is a video I made about how much memory do you really need for gaming. So I cover things fairly well in that video, so be sure to check that out if you want to find out where the sweet spot is depending on what you're doing when you're gaming. So that's what we're gonna have in this build. That'll run you about $55 right now. We have for storage the PNY 240 gigabyte 2.5 inch solid state drive. You're gonna get really good speed and performance out of this drive for about $80. So hopefully you have another hard disk drive that you will bring over from an old build and put into your new system as your storage for your games or media. But this will be great as a boot drive. And if you don't have another hard drive, this will be fine for the time being. So that's what you can look at for about $80. Then for our video card, there's a few choices you can go with, but we're gonna go with the Sapphire Radeon RX 574 gig. The 1063 gig is a very similar card in terms of performance to the 570. They kind of leapfrog each other back and forth, but this 570 is cheaper, so you'll save some money there. If you really want to save even more money, you can pick up a GTX 1050 Ti 4 gig. It will work really well as a 1080p gaming card. Granted, all 3 of those choices I've just mentioned are all great for 1080p. They really don't push those into 2K or 4K. It's not gonna go so well. But they'll all work fine. A 1080 Ti or a 1050 Ti will work really, really well, and you can save some more money too. You'll play AAA titles probably around medium-high settings, but this will do a little bit better if you want to play more of those games at high and ultra settings. So the RX 570 is a good choice. As for our case, that is the Thermaltake V3 in black. It's an ATX mid-tower case. It's not super fancy by any means, but you can't really go super fancy when you're looking at budget cases. So about $40 will pick you up one of these cases. That's all we need it for, to house our PC, really. If you want to find a used one off of a friend maybe, or off Craigslist, that's a good way to get a hold of a case sometimes for pretty cheap, especially if you're not worried about the way it looks. Because some cases can get pricey. So if you can save money there, it's not a bad thing. And then for our power supply, we have the EVGA 500 watt, 80 plus bronze certified ATX power supply. So It's a power supply. It's EVGA. It's gonna have plenty of power. It's gonna be pretty bulletproof. EVGA makes fantastic power supplies, and they sell them at amazing prices. So you're pretty much good to go with that one for about $36 after mail-in rebates, which is a pretty good deal. So $600 build, right now it's about $607 if you take advantage of that $10 mail-in rebate. So right at $600, you'll be able to play games on pretty much high and ultra settings at 1080p, and you could even dabble maybe even a little bit with streaming, a tiny bit on some lower settings. But yeah, you could do some of that, and you'd have a pretty good computer for a pretty affordable price, honestly. So that's our $600 build. The next one we're gonna look at is our $1,000 build. This one I'll talk a little bit in a second about what all it can probably handle. But the first thing we'll go over, of course, is the Ryzen R5 1600X 6-core processor. The 6-core processor will help you out more for streaming for sure, and with like video encoding. So you get some more power and at not a crazy price. So for $230 right now on Amazon, you can get this for a very affordable price, and it will perform very well. And it's just a good processor overall. So that's what we recommend for this build, for this price point. We're gonna be cooling that CPU with the Noctua NHD14 CPU cooler. Noctua makes fantastic products that are just some of the best, honestly, when it comes to cooling solutions. So very, very good. It'll keep things cool. It'll run you about $70 right now. Keep your CPU nice and cool while you're streaming and gaming and encoding and doing anything you want. That'll work fantastic for you. $70 right there. The motherboard we're gonna go with is the MSI B350 Tomahawk ATX motherboard. I actually think it looks pretty decent for the price. It doesn't have a million bells and whistles on it, but it will get things done. Plenty of spots to expand and some other nice little features on this board. It's going to run you a little bit over $100, about $100, $100 to $110. Good deal overall, and you get a full-size ATX motherboard, so that is honestly fine. I like MSI's offerings for this current generation. They're pretty good. We're gonna go ahead and go with some more G.Skill, this time 2 8GB sticks for 16 gigabytes of memory. About $102 right now is what that will run you. There's really not too much to say about that. 16 gigs, in my opinion, is kind of the sweet spot. You don't really need more than that unless you're gonna be doing specific things where you know you need more than 16 gigs, but you would know if you need that. So really don't have to worry about that. That will get you hooked up good. You'll be gaming, you'll have a million Chrome tabs open, you can stream, you'll have plenty of stuff. You'll be good to go. That's what I was using on my previous machine, 16 gigs, and I was streaming and doing everything fine. So, not too big of a deal. The storage for this one, we're gonna go with the Western Digital Blue 250 gigabyte, 2.5-inch solid state drive. About $82, 83 to 90. We'll get you this. It will be very good, it will be quick, it'll be helpful, and yay, it is storage. Once again, if you have another hard drive to bring over into the build, that would be fantastic. If not, pick up a terabyte hard drive for about $40 to $50. Not a big deal, you can totally snag one and add it later, but this will get you started off very nicely. And then for our video card, we're gonna go with the Zotac GeForce GTX 1070 8GB. The 1070 is kind of your awesome bang for your buck performance when it comes to gaming. 1070 will handle 2K resolution or widescreen gaming or lots of monitors really, really well. You could dabble into 4K a little bit depending on the title, especially really dependent upon the title, I'll just say it that way. And for about $335. So not too bad for really, really good performance. This will also help future-proof you if you're just gonna stay at 1080p for a while, which most people seem to be doing. So you'll be good to go. It's gonna be a great card. It's a mini, but once again, you save money that way, it's gonna perform fine. If you wanna spend a couple more dollars and not get a mini, you'll be fine. So you can do that. We're gonna put all of this into the NZXT S340 black and red case. ATX mid-tower, it's about $70. Pretty good deal for that case. Pretty standard, just good case. It's kind of like the pinnacle of, I need a case that holds things well and doesn't look terrible and does its job. Boom, S340, that's the case for you and everyone else. And that's what I recommend. So you can pick one of those up, and then we'll have the EVGA 600 watt, 80 plus bronze certified ATX power supply from EVGA once again. So another standard EVGA awesome power supply. It's gonna work fine, plenty of power. So that's the build. You can pick up that power supply for about $40. That is your $1,000 build. Right now it's $1,036, so just a little bit over. but really not too bad. If you want to find some slightly different parts, you can totally do so. But you'll be good to go with that build. You'll be able to stream pretty well. You're gonna crush games at 1080p. You're gonna even dabble into 2K and a little bit of 4K gaming if you would like, if you have that resolution monitor. So you can totally do all of that stuff. And you'll actually have pretty good editing capabilities too when it comes to like doing some Adobe Premiere, maybe a little even After Effects action in there too if you want. You might need a little bit more RAM in the future if you want to do that, but this will work really, really well and actually at a really good price to kind of start things off or kick things off if you're kind of venturing into that for the first time. Now, as for our final build, we have our $1,600 build. This one's just gonna kind of beef everything up even more. It'll allow us to do a few more things. So we will jump into that with the Ryzen 7 1700. Now, we went with Ryzen processors because right now they're really affordable for what they offer in performance. The next closest, probably the closest Intel offering currently at this price range is going to be a 4-core. So right now you're getting an 8-core for the price of an Intel 4-core. So this is gonna be a lot better for gaming, or not gaming, but a lot better for streaming and video and content creation. You're gonna have a lot more power there, and longevity-wise, it's gonna be great. So that's awesome. We definitely like that. So about $300 will pick you up the 1700. The 1700 is the lowest of the R7s right now, but you can overclock this easily to make it about as good as an 1800X. A lot of people have had really, really good success overclocking the 1700. So definitely highly recommended because it's a great overclocker compared to the other two that are more expensive, and you can get about the same performance. So that's what we're gonna recommend to start things off. We're gonna cool it with the NZXT Kraken X52 liquid CPU cooler. This is actually the exact cooler I use in my build right now. It's quiet, it keeps my CPU really cool while I'm streaming or making videos and editing and encoding. So very, very good. It's about $150, but it does look great. There are cheaper offerings out there, but this one just looks fantastic as well as performs very well. So definitely like that. You can pick that one up. We also have for the motherboard, the Asus Crosshair 6 Hero ATX motherboard. Good looking board. We have awesome armor on it, some RGB lighting, plenty of, you know, features and ports, PCI, lanes, all types of stuff, everything. You even have a USB 3.1 header if you want to get a different case with 3.1 on the front. So all types of just awesome stuff going on with this board, and it's actually very affordable, which is very, very good too. It's a $240 motherboard for the most part. There are more expensive motherboards you can get, and there are cheaper ones as well, but this is gonna be just good. It's also gonna look good in your case. So plenty of just features. You'll be good to go. We're also gonna go with a solid bulletproof concept, at least for memory. We're gonna go with the Corsair Vengeance LPX set of memory, 2 x 8 gigs for 16 gigs. This is what I use in my machine. I use 32 gigs, but I use LPX Vengeance memory. Very, very good, about $125 will pick you up this. This is kind of like the standard everybody uses when they just want solid memory. So you'll be good to go with something like that. So check out the Vengeance LPX stuff. Then we have for storage a 480 gigabyte SSD from SanDisk. This is going to be a little bit bigger, so you have a little bit more room for installing more games if you want to, or maybe like the entire Adobe suite or other editing programs and softwares. You'll definitely have good space to do so with this solid state drive. Once again, bring over other storage if you have it from another machine, or pick up, you know, a hard disk drive for 50 bucks. So you can do that. It'll run you $150 for this one. And then for our video card, we're gonna go with the Gigabyte GeForce GTX 1080 8GB. That is going to be a very, very good card for 1080p gaming. It's gonna crush it. 2K gaming, it's gonna do great and probably crush that too. And you can do 4K gaming with this as well. Not on like ultra probably in all your titles, but definitely on medium settings. And it's gonna perform really, really well. It's now that the 1080 Ti is out, the price of the normal 1080s has dropped, and it makes them way more affordable for what they offer when it comes to performance. So bang for your buck on this has gone up, and it's good. You can pick up one of these for about $500. So that's a good price on a 1080 right now. So definitely get something like that. It'll be very beefy. And then you also have for the case, we're doing the S340 again from NZXT, but this time the Elite version with the tempered glass side panel. just looks nicer. It really helps this case just stand out a little bit more. And you can even show off one of your SSDs up in the front part. There's a different mount to put it down there in the front glass, so you can do that as well. It's about $90 to $100 is what this will run you. It's a good case. Once again, the S340 is just like your baseline, good looking case, gets the job done. Mount your CPU cooler up in the front of this thing. You'll get some ample airflow going through that and keeping your CPU nice and cool as well. And then powering everything is the EVGA 650 watt ATX power supply. It is semi-modular, which means you don't have to have all the extra cables in your machine. Plug in what you need and you're good to go. Plenty of spots on it too for this build and plenty of power. It'll run you about $60. So you could save a little bit of money here too if you didn't want to go semi-modular, but I like it. It's just easier to work with and you don't need all that in your machine. So that is going to be our $1,600 build, and right now about $1,612. So a pretty good deal, honestly. You'll be able to stream at high resolution if you really want to, or at least with good settings with your beefy CPU, and also your beefy GPU will help you game at high resolution as well. So you'll have all types of choices for your gaming and streaming, and then also you will have good content creation capabilities with, you know, plenty of power to do your encoding and your rendering and your editing. So just a really beefy, solid build. This is mildly comparable to my current build, although I'm on Intel right now. So this CPU would legit probably do a bit better because it's got more cores and more lanes and all that fun stuff. So it's going to be just a little bit better overall. There are going to be links down below to check out if you want to obviously look at these build lists a little bit closer on PC Part Picker. I'll also try to put out some Amazon links too to most of the parts for each build if you just want to go ahead and just check them all out. You can do that as well. So I want to thank you guys for watching. Let me know down below in the comments if you have questions or what you think about this video, or if you'd like to see different builds looked at in the future, maybe different price points or maybe different platforms. I would be interested to know what you would like to see. So leave me a comment, leave me a like, subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and I'll see all of you guys in the next one.